This is Scott Vanderplu, and you're listening to the Artist Edition Index Podcast, episode 76.
I went down to the St. James Infirmary, found my baby there, stretched out on a long white table, so sweet, so cold, so fast.
Thank you for joining me once more as we take the written word from aeindex.org and bring it to the life that we can muster for this podcast. Up to 76. This is my second time starting to record this episode because I forgot what episode last month was. But here we are. Lots of solicitation news this month. We got our poll and a couple reviews. So let's get into it. All right, well, I'll give you the blurb. IDW released 10 Artist Edition portfolios between 2012 and 2017, with an 11th solicited but never published. Which is your favorite? Last year was the 10th anniversary, and I meant to do up a 10th anniversary article, and I kept saying I would do it, and I never did it. So I'm thankful to our good friend and supporter of this podcast and the site, David Jacoy, suggested a poll for the portfolios, which is a great idea. So I put up the 10 portfolios on the site with links to all the portfolios, and I don't think anybody clicked on any of the links for the portfolio, so everybody apparently already knew their portfolio. But here are the results. So the big winner, which was no surprise at all, was Bernie Wrightson's Muck Monster. That had the most votes. Surprised me was the second number of votes, Michael Golden's G.I. Joe Yearbook. Then we had Russ Heath's Yellow Heat. I'm sorry, no we don't. Then we had EC The Covers. Then we had Russ Heath. Then we had Walter Simonson's Ragnarok. Then we had Wallywood Thunder Agents. And Neil Adams' Thrill Kill tied. Then we had Walter Simonson's Lawnmower Man. Then we had Gabriel Rodriguez Lock and Key Covers. And Gabriel Rodriguez Lock and Key, the first portfolio that was not just covers, got no votes. So that was surprising. I voted for Russ Heath's Yellow Heat because I thought about these portfolios as standalone pieces. And I thought, which one impressed me the most? Which had the biggest impact on me? Which left its biggest mark as, pieces of original art? And for me, that was Russ Heath's Yellow Heat. I hadn't read the story when it came out. So actually, a lot of these I had not read until in this portfolio version. And I was just, Russ Heath was the one that really blew me away. I was really impressed by the art, and the pages were just really stunning. I can see why people voted for Bernie Wrightson. I get it. Those pages are gorgeous too. And I actually really enjoyed the EC Covers portfolio, but as a collection of the covers, not necessarily as standalone pieces of art. So anyway, that's the voting. You can continue to vote, but really these things get the most traction the month of voting. So we'll see what David comes up with for April's poll, but I want to thank everybody for taking part in that. Our votes don't get, we don't get crazy high numbers, but it's always interesting. All right, moving on. Couple big solicitations here. Let's go with the so IDW. Let me back up before I do that. The solicitations used to be much different. IDW, Fantagraphics, Marvel, DC, everybody, right, was solicited through Diamond, and Diamond released their previous catalog once a month, and then you got all the solicitations. But since most Marvel, DC, IDW, now Dark Horse have left Diamond, and they've just got a collection of small publishers along with Image, and I think Image is going to leave them soon as well. So then we've got fragmented catalogs. So then we may see a catalog from the publisher themselves. Otherwise, we'll see a solicitation. Maybe normally Amazon is where things are spotted, and but otherwise you'll see a catalog like Edelweiss, or you'll go onto the Penguin Random House site, which is the main distributor now for these other publishers. So that's prhcomics.com, and you'll see updates, and that's sort of where I catch these things. But this time it was in Edelweiss, which is a trade book catalog. and they had put out the IDW Fall 2023. So looking at that, we had 4 solicitations. So let's go over those. First one, really I was actually, it's interesting. You see the mix, right? So Bill Sienkiewicz's Mutants and Moon Knights and Assassins Artisan Edition. So the Artisan Edition, right, is they take the full-size Artist Edition and they shrink it down to 8x12 in a soft cover. It's got French flaps and it's fairly thick cardboard for the cover, so it's not as soft as a soft cover you may imagine. But they do a good job of that. But that's September 19th. That's $40. I'm not, the Artisan Edition flip-flops, most of them are $39.99 or $40 US. But then some of them go $49.99. I'm not sure the criteria or what is the demarcation line there for what jumps the extra $10. But so then a second reprint, but this time it's John Byrne's X-Men, and it's an artist edition being reprinted. Technically, it's an artist edition, right? Because IDW doesn't do the IDW doesn't do the artifact editions anymore. So this was released previously as an artifact edition, and now it's being reprinted as an artist edition, much in the same vein as the Frank Miller's artist edition that's coming out. It was a previous artifact edition. I checked Scott Dunbier on these, and there are no new pages being added. It's just a straight reprint. So if you got this before, don't worry about getting it now. I was so hoping, there was some concern. Oh, well, will fans be disappointed if these come out and there's some new pages and then people feel like they have to buy them again? I mean, what's the cutoff line? What would make you happy to say, oh, I'm glad I got this new edition because it had X number of additional pages? I would say, so let's take this. John Byrne's X-Men Artist Edition. 160 pages. So an additional 30 pages, like if they put it to 190 and you got 30 extra pages, would you pay $150 for a book you've already got? 20% more pages, 20% new material. I'd be happy with that. I'd be happy with 10% probably, but 20% seems like a fair number. And then you have to wonder, well, in 5 years, has the editor found additional pages of that number, and can they supplement and add to the book? That's the question. I would definitely want to see these reprints with new pages. I remember speaking to Bob Chapman from Graffiti Designs, and that's what I said to him. The Batman: The Dark Knight Returns Gallery Edition is just so popular. But you missed so many pages. Would you go back to print if you found, these X number of pages? And he, at that time, yes, he was wholeheartedly in support of putting out a revised edition with additional machine pages. But unfortunately, I think Graffiti Designs at this point as a publisher is no more. And but they burn brightly, so we can always enjoy the books that they did release. All right, moving on. So we do have 2 brand new books of material, and I will give you the blurbs on these. John Romita's Amazing Spider-Man, The Daily Strips Artist Edition. Celebrate the 60th anniversary of The Amazing Spider-Man with this very special Artist Edition. Spider-Man is one of the most popular characters in the history of comics. This Artist Edition collects high-resolution scans of the very earliest Amazing Spider-Man daily strips by the 2 creators most associated with the web-slinger, Stan the Man Lee and Jaunty John Romita. Approximately 300 original daily strips have been scanned, all from 1977 and 1978. The strip debuted on January 3rd, 1977, and the entire first 2 months of the strip are included in this volume. Spider-Man's origin is recapped, and it's a who's who of all your favorite Spidey characters. This is released October 3rd. It is 176 pages, and it's 15 inches by 19.5 inches. Now, this is a landscape, so I actually said that backwards. It's 19.5 inches by 15 inches. Because, right, these are strips, and you're going to see them along the page. It's $150 US, which is the standard price for IDW's artist editions. And look forward for that. Now, I've heard if this is successful, maybe we'll see a second volume. So that would be exciting. But who can predict the future? All right. The second new book of material, Walter Simonson's Fantastic Four Artist Edition. This is an art book, not a traditional collection of comic books featuring rare and beautiful imagery, a collection for connoisseurs of the form. Simonson's groundbreaking work on Fantastic Four and other Marvel titles helped revolutionize the comics medium, and his work is on full display here in all its original high-resolution glory. Collecting 8 complete stories from Walter Simonson's run on Fantastic Four, 337 to 341, and 353 to 354. Story and art by Simonson. This is being released September 12th. It's 12 by 17, so standard modern art size. 204 pages, 150 US. So there you go. We got 4 books. 2 brand new material, 1 a reprint in its original form, and 1 reprinting in a smaller form. So that's lots to look forward to, for sure. All right. Let's move on to another solicitation. This is another catalog one. This was discovered. Somebody mentioned this on Facebook, I think, and then I reached out. So this was Bill Ward, the Fantagraphics Studio Edition. Let me give you the blurb here. Vintage glamour girl artist extraordinaire Bill Ward gets the full Fantagraphics Studio Edition treatment, featuring Ward's most polished, fully realized pinups from the 1950s and 60s. Bill Ward's glamour girls were the staples of countless men's and humor magazines, where they shared the pages with cult models like Betty Page, Tina Louise, and Julie Newmar, and cartoons by fellow Good Girl artists such as Archie's Dan DiCarlo and Playboy's Jack Cole. Imagine, if you will, an innocent but stunning young woman boasting wildly exaggerated Barbie-like proportions, poured into a wisp of lingerie or a clingy cocktail dress and adorned in diamond necklaces and opera-length gloves, all perched on top of a pair of dangerously high stiletto heels, and you've got the recipe for the quintessential Bill Ward glamour girl. What sets Ward apart and above his talented contemporaries in terms of sheer image making was his use of the Conte crayon. When drawn on simple newsprint stock, this potent combination created Ward's trademark gossamer sheen on his women's thigh-high stockings. The Fantagraphics Studio Edition showcases the best of Ward's humorama work and includes a healthy number of what became known as his telephone girls. Tamed by today's standards, Ward's telephone girls were caught in candid moments where they just happened to be talking on the phone dressed in gossamer lingerie in innocently provocative poses. And did they ever talk on the phone when they weren't in bed? The majority of the images in this volume were drawn between 1955 and 65, when Ward was at the height of his skill. They have been scanned in super high resolution from original art and reproduced to highlight every sheen and accentuate every curve to its fullest. The book not only reproduces more than 150 of Ward's most beautifully rendered illustrations, but also serves as a time capsule to his more innocent moment in pop culture when these images were shocking. The Fantagraphics Studio Edition also features an introduction by fashion style icon and burlesque superstar Dita Von Teese. An original pinup art collector herself, Dita was most recently featured in Taylor Swift's music video Bejeweled. Who cares? Bill Ward, the Fantagraphics Studio Edition, is part of the Fantagraphics Studio Edition series. This is being released on October 17th. It's 13.5 by 17 inches, 180 pages, and it's 175 US, that's sort of where Fantagraphics has been putting the last few studio editions. I had reached out to Fantagraphics PR for some more information about this. I didn't get anything back. I kept expecting this to appear in a catalog, and then boom, it appeared on Fantagraphics' website. So that's where I got the information for this. So that's interesting. All right. 2 more solicitations, if you can believe it. Diamond also released their Previews World catalog, and this is one we already knew about, but now it's in this format. So that is the 2080 art of Kevin O'Neill Apex Edition. Some interesting news on this one, though, so let me read it out. An incredible insight into the art of one of comics' most unique talents, the 2000 art of Kevin O'Neill Apex Edition contains art from 1977 through to 2022. From concept sketches of 2080's Alien editor Tharg the Mighty to complete episodes of Robusters and ABC Warriors and previously unseen versions of his Nemesis the Warlock, the Final Conflict pages. Also included are his never-before reprinted Metalzoic covers and the entirety of his sequential work on Bonjo from Beyond the Stars. The Apex edition is a deluxe, oversized facsimile edition, and this 160-page collection has been compiled by O'Neill from his own archive, reproducing his original art pages at their actual size. This is an unmissable testament to his remarkable career. This is being released August 2nd through Diamond and local comic shops. 160 pages, $155 US. Now, how does this vary from what we've seen before? Well, it's being released in June through 2000 AD's website, and it was $122 US. So we've seen a price bump of a significant amount. That's almost 30% increase in price. About 25% to move it from direct from the publisher to moving it through Diamond. So that's a bit disappointing. I mean, but it's more in line with the price we expect to see for these volumes. I'm really hoping this one contains full stories because so far these the last two Apex editions, right, have been the Brian Boland one didn't have any full stories. I don't remember. Maybe it did. There you go. My brain is leaking out my ears. I try and think of this. Anyways, that looks interesting. One last thing, and this one's out of left field. I don't know. I mean, I know I've got a lot of listeners and readers from the site. I've been increasing my European readership, so maybe this is people know this one. But Tarzan Untold Stories Artist Lines Edition. This is a crowdfunding. Let me give you the blurb. This is a special occasion, the 40th anniversary of Tarzan, Jewel from Europe. We did our best to prepare spectacular luxury editions for you and to offer you options to everyone's taste. This is the world premiere of this book, and Kickstarter is the best platform to present the edition to the entire world, as we believe that this is something that such a book truly deserves. This is also the way for all Tarzan fans to learn that there are Tarzan stories that they have never heard about, which will be an excellent addition to their collection. Unlike the usual graphic novels, this project features printing of the original artwork in a way to mimic the experience of a comic book artist viewing comic art. Artist Lines Edition is designed to print exactly the same dimension as the artwork papers that comic book artists usually use in their illustrations, and also retain the editorial notes and printing crop marks seen on the papers. Artist Lines Edition specifically prints in a black and white palette to show the details of paste overs, zipatone technique, and blue pencils. In this edition, you get a complete visual pleasure. The original pages of the comic from the 1980s in the original format, size, and appearance are presented in this edition. When you read this edition, you will have the feeling that you are reading directly from the original pages of the comic by the author. As a special treat for devoted collectors, the luxurious artist editions line a release of the original artwork on the original size pages. So for this Kickstarter, so this is a crowdfunding, so at this level, which is $149 US is what they're asking for this, only through Kickstarter. You get one physical copy of Tarzan Untold Stories graphic novel, original art hardcover edition. It is a 14 by 20 inch book treatment of the, all right, so they've got spot UV on the cover, matte anti-scratch lamination, foil stamping, embossing, silk ribbon bookmark, and it includes the book, an original Art Gickley print, an original art book plate with numbering, and then shipping is additional. So I think they've got a nice shipping chart, and I looked for shipping for me. I'm in zone 6, I think, with Canada. I don't know what it was. I forget what it was. $40, like that. I've already forgotten. Interesting. Wow, this one's out of left field for me because it's this is art. This art style is very much when I think of European art style. This really sort of fits it. And that's not a dig or a negative about it. It's just different from what I'm experiencing. It's got a Russ Manning vibe, maybe an updated sort of. I don't know how to describe it. Make sure you go on the site, check the link, and check it out because it's really interesting. And this is something. I mean, I'm really excited to see this kind of thing popping up because here now we have, and it's in English. I'm sorry, I should have specified that. It looks great. I'm still, and the nice thing is too, they did a really long Kickstarter. So I think they did 60 days as opposed to the normal like 30, and it's well past its backing point. It's reached, so it will be printed. I'm just, I'm sort of waffling on it, and I don't know why. It looks interesting. It's the art style. That's really what it's Also, you know what? In the end, I know I'm going to back it, but I'm letting it drag out. Actually, I'm clicking on the link now. Let me go to it. There's 16 days to go. It's got 228 backers, and they're at. They needed a $7,500 US goal, and they've already reached 35,000. So well beyond, right? So that's pretty exciting. Let's see updates. They get a nice thing about what is an Artist Lines edition, and they've got pages of the original art, and it looks good. Actually, you know, I'm going to back it. Yeah, all right. Sorry. Wow, that was a lot of internal struggle there that I voiced externally. All right. So that is the solicitations. A lot going on. There's lots of exciting things happening. That's great to see. Let's move on to out-of-print sales for this month. Interesting activity going on. So let's dive into that. Alex Toth's Bravo for Adventure Artist Edition. One sale, $65. 2 copies of Alien Illustrated Story, the original art edition, sold for an average of $92. 8 copies of Batman The Dark Knight Returns Frank Miller Gallery Edition, sold for an average of $111.37. 10 copies of Bernie Wrightson Artifact Edition second print, sold for an average of $140.79. 2 copies of Best of EC Comics Volume 1 sold for an average of $271.25. 1 copy of Best of EC Volume 2 sold for $229.99. 2 copies of Dave Cochran's X-Men Artifact Edition sold for an average of $111.14. 2 copies of Dave Gibbons' Watchmen Artifact Edition sold for an average of $129.99. 2 copies of David Mazzucchelli's Daredevil Born Again Artist Edition sold for an average of $399.98. And I will shamelessly interject here that I have a copy of this book, David Mazzucchelli's Daredevil Born Again Artist Edition, on sale on my store site for $350 US. So if you'd like to beat that average there, why don't you pop on the site and order that up. All right, 5 copies of Don Rose's The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, Volume 1, sold for an average of $203.13. This book is gaining traction and picking up numbers. 1 copy of ElfQuest Gallery Edition sold for $145. I think that's pretty high for that book. 9 copies of Frank Miller's Sin City, The Hard Goodbye Curators Collection sold for an average of $127.60. 4 copies of Gene Colan's Tomb of Dracula Artist Edition sold for an average of $266.24. 1 copy of Jack Davis's EC Stories sold for $181. 1 copy of Jack Kirby Commandy, Volume 1, sold for $75. 1 copy of Jack Kirby The Forever People sold for $114.99. 1 copy of Jack Kirby's Fantastic Four: The World's Greatest Artist Edition sold for $299.99. 4 copies of Jack Kirby's Marvel Heroes and Monsters sold for an average of $196.64. 2 copies of Jack Kirby's The Mighty Thor sold for an average of $144.50. 3 copies of Jim Lee DC Legends sold for an average of $139.84. 1 copy of Jim Starlin's Marvel Cosmics sold for $109.99. 1 copy of Joe Kubert's Tarzan of the Apes sold for $76. 2 copies of John Buscema's Silver Surfer sold for an average of $127.25. 2 copies John Romita's The Amazing Spider-Man, $160. 1 copy of John Romita's Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2, $175. 1 copy of Mad for $158.50. 1 copy of Mark Schultz's Xenozoic Tales for $225. 1 copy of Michael Golden's Micronauts for $371.66. Wow. 1 copy of Mike Mignold's Amazing Screw-On Head, $129.99. 1 copy of P. Craig Russell's Strange Dreams, $75. There's a book that rarely comes up, so that's and at a good price. 1 copy of Ross Andrews' Amazing Spider-Man for $130. 2 copies of Sam Keith's The Max, $296. This book continues to be discovered by Sam Keith fans as time progresses, and that price just adds, wow. 1 copy of Sergio Aragona's Grid the Wanderer for $206.99. 1 copy of Spawn Vault Edition 2 for $242.50. 1 copy of Star Wars Artifact Edition for $89.99. 4 copies of Star Wars Dark Times for $54.45 average. 2 copies of the Book of Ballads Original Art Edition averaging $62.50. 2 copies of Wally Wood's EC Stories for $339.88. I just sold a copy of that on my the second print on my website for recently $300. 3 copies of Walter Simonson Star Wars for $112.92 average, and that's it for the month. Record sales. There's been a couple. All right, so Batman: The Dark Knight Returns Frank Miller Gallery Edition signed. I don't remember seeing the last sale on eBay, but this was on February 6th. It sold for $949.99. Wow, that's impressive. And then the other record for the month was Terry Moore, Strangers in Paradise, Gallery Edition. Sold for $764.99. And I still don't get that. That sold on March 4th. I can't quite figure that one out. Did I put that wrong? Hold on a second. Let's have a look here. Something seems wrong with that. I think I put it in the wrong slide. Did I put the wrong price in? I've done this before. Every once in a while I make a mistake on the website. And I think, oh, what have I done? Let's have a look. Sold items. Nope. It was the signed numbered edition. So I have to edit there. It's, number 74 of 600, sold for $764.99. That is extremely impressive. Since the unsigned edition, the normal edition, not a single copy have I recorded being sold on eBay. So I'm going right now, Terry Moore, Paradise, and putting in signed. Done. Wonderful. All right. Wow, that's a lot of money. That was only available direct through Terry Moore's website. But still, I'm wondering if it's still available. I'll have to check into that later. All right. I've done some slight promoting, but I will do my shameless promotion. 3 ways to support the site, which I'm always pleased about. Those 3 ways are clicking any of the affiliate links. So when I've got order online, most of those links will net me something. The best one for me is actually Things from Another World, followed by eBay. And then Forbidden Planet. It's the French ones. I have not really. BD Fugue also is good for me. Collector BD and other Nifiem. I don't actually have. There's some places I'm linking that I don't have affiliate links to just because they're the best option. I'm working on that, but anyway, the links are great. I mean, if you're going to order the book anyways, if you could use my links, that would be so helpful. I'd appreciate it. Second way to support the site is to click on the store page and buy something from the store. I'm trying to put my prices lower than eBay, and I do ship as cheaply as possible to Europe. It's interesting, most of my sales from my site now are going to Europe, and so, or Canada. I don't get a lot of U.S. purchases, I guess because shipping within the U.S. is so cheap, and eBay makes that possible. So, third way to support the site is to be a Patreon supporter. So that's any amount, $1, a pound, €1, whatever you'd like to add. A lot of local frequencies available, and then you can go up as high as you'd like. It's just a way to say thank you to me for running the site, the podcast. I don't really do anything special for Patreon patrons. I apologize for that. I'm sort of just out of ideas on what something special I can do. But it is appreciated, and you may ask, if you're a new listener, well, what does he do with this money? Well, I use it to buy books. The Patreon and the sales from my store and things normally go to PayPal, and then from my PayPal account, I order new books. So that's where a lot of these European editions are coming from. They're being funded through the sales of the site and the affiliate links and all that stuff. So the money just gets put right back into the site. And I appreciate everybody who supports me. I really do. Very thankful for it. All right. You know what I forgot to mention was shipping changes. So that's bad on me. Will Eisner's The Best of the Spirit Artisan Edition has been moved to May 30th. And we got that date for the 2000 AD art of Kevin O'Neill. And then we got the date for the Bill Ward. So 1 shipping change is in 2 editions. So believe it or not, we think about how the last few years, how few books we've had, right? Currently on this site, right, we have 10 books waiting to come up this year. And we're not even at the end. We're not even at the end of, we haven't seen the end of solicitations for 2023. We've got 10 books. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4 are reprints. So, but that's still 6 books of brand new material we haven't seen before. 2 reprints of artifact editions as artist editions, and then 2 books as artisan editions. So, it's unbelievable. And we're currently got 1, 2, 3 publishers listed. and who knows what else is coming out, right? And then we got that Kickstarter with a fourth publisher. Things are really looking up for this format. Now it's not the crazy old days where IDW or somebody some months I was buying 3 of these a month and just almost bankrupting myself. Well, that's not. But it's a crazy amount of money. And thankfully now we've got them every other month or so, maybe every 3 months you've got a book. It's just wow, things are picking up again. I'm very much looking forward and being happy about that. But let's talk the reviews this month. I've got 2 reviews this month. Jeremiah, Un Hiver de Clown. That's I'll give you the blurb. The continuation of a prestigious collection of facsimiles of originals, the only album without Curdy, a 78-page album, giant format of 35 by 46 centimeters, numbered and signed by Herman and Freymond. The album is a facsimile of plates printed in a 4-color process in the format of the originals to fully appreciate Herman's drawing and inking. 14 pages of color graphic notebook featuring new or rare visuals and a photo gallery. An analysis of the album by Yves H. A cover page showing a large section of the album specially colored for this edition by Freymond, Herman's colorist. Album delivered in a protective box with personalized sticker. A 3-passage silkscreen print signed by Herman. Herman? Is it Herman? I'm going to say Herman. Cardboard cover with embossing. Round gray canvas back with hot stamping. Offset printing on Munken Polar 170-gram paper. Sent in a shielded cardboard packaging. So this was released in April of 2018 by Edition Black and White. It's 13 3/4 inches by 18 inches, or 35 by 46 centimeters. It's 78 pages, and it was 180 euros. This, at this point, may be sold out. No, I'm clicking on it. Going to Edition Black and White, and you can still buy it. So so if you like Herman, or Herman, if you read the Jeremiah, this story, The Winter of the Clowns, is available in the Jeremiah Omnibus Volume 3. I actually have that. And it is another great presentation by Edition Black and White. It's just really nice. So it's a little bit different. It's signed by Herman Freymond. So again, Freymond was Herman's colorist. Which we do see some color. You think, well, why is the colorist signing this? Well, there is some color, and there's a colored print. So that's the reason. It's numbered at a 295. I have number 244, and it's interesting because the book opens with panel enlargements, which is not something we see, and there's a significant amount of panel enlargements, really focusing on Herman's work. It's a great book. The interesting thing here is that the story takes place in winter, and we see there's a lot of white, or what it's snow, so things are covered in snow, and obviously in a black and white book where so we actually see a lack of inking, but then when the inking comes through, right, so they're actually, it's in one of the early images I have on the site, right, they're in a forest, and the trees and the inking just is so striking on the trees. It really looks gorgeous. And then the presentation is really nice. I want to say, let me see how many, all but 4 pages are from the original art. And, it presents really well. These pages, instead of what we've normally seen, this was presented in Spirou Magazine. What we normally see in something like that, or Pilote, we see the page broken up into 2 equal parts, and then they do A and B, and then they've taped together for the albums. This one, almost all the pages the top portion is 2/3, and the bottom portion is 1/3, and they're all like taped together. And you can see they've aged a little bit differently, but each page is still the same. It's just one number. So I'm not quite sure how it ran in Spirou Magazine, but great presentation. Art really pops here. Blacks look great. There's some production marks on the pages, but again, Herman was just doing it himself. So you don't see a lot of that. Really nice design. It's interesting. The Edition Black and White does a nice job. So this one we got Yves H does a little analysis, which me using Google Translate on my phone doesn't work as well as I'd like. And then we've got some colored pages from Freymond. We've got covers from Herman, and then the presentation. We got 2 prints included with the book. And it's just a great product. So that's a really standout album. Edition Black and White has released 3 original art or version original books by Herman. The first one was sold out. I wasn't able to get that. I did manage to get the third one, so I'll be reviewing that at a later date. All right, the second book this month was Le Tour Tirage Deluxe by Laurent Hennebel, or Edition Laurent Hennebel. Let me give you the blurb. Laurent Hennebel, prestigious publisher, invites you to find an exceptional work from the album Le Tour by Peters and Schouten, the 4th volume of the successful series La Cité Obscure, published by Casterman. In this album, Giovanni Battista is guardian of the tower. He will abandon his post to embark on an incredible quest with marvelous surprises on his way, but also deplorable disappointments. Format, 38 by 51 centimeters of 112 pages, entirely printed in offset with UV inks on luxury Munken Pure paper. All the plates except 2 are in facsimiles, and the back of the album is on paper with a silkscreen printing. Edition limited to 180 copies, numbered and signed by the authors, and delivered with 1 offset printed in pigment inks on 100% cotton paper and the original synopsis in facsimile. This was released in November 2022. 15 by 20 inches, 112 pages. It was €350. And it is, wow. This is the most I've paid for a book. I ordered it in November when it came out. I got it from Collector BD. And Laurent Hennebel hand assembles these books, and I waited and I got my copy in March. So because it was quite a wait actually. Wow, it was almost 5 months wait. Beautiful book. I don't want to get to so Schouten's art is just like, you look at it this size, it is stunning, but it's also really, the pages really are gorgeous, but they look like the published pages because his attention to detail is so great. I don't know. You do see pencil lines. You can see the occasional pencil line in items. If he hasn't completely inked it, you'll see maybe some brickwork or something, and you'll see the occasional pencil line. But he strikes me as the kind of artist that he does his pencil, he does his tight inks, he's erasing his pencils. Just the pages just pop at this size. They are gorgeous, but it's almost like looking at the published page. So that's a detraction. But then these are the original pages, and at the size, they're just gorgeous. So I think if you're a Schouten fan, and I think you've got to be a big fan to pay this much money. Now this was the cheapest edition. They published other editions. One was €1,500. That was a bigger size. And then one was printed in black and white, not like the original pages like this, and that was also a higher price. I wanted one Schouten book, and I know these kind of books before have gone for crazy money. So I saw this one, I thought, wow, that's a lot of money, but it's also my best opportunity. So I ordered it, waited. The original artwork is gorgeous. Otherwise, there's really no design here. There's just end papers. There's really not a lot of extras. Now, it's interesting to see this. You get a facsimile of the script, which is kind of neat, and you get a print, which is also nice to see a print. But I think I've mentioned this before. Can you just maybe lower the price and not include prints with these kind of books? I'd rather see a €25 discount, and you keep the print. But maybe that's just me, because I get the print, like the last book we just discussed, the Herman book. The prints stay in the book. I never do anything with them, and but maybe that's just me. Maybe every European reader of these books loves every print, and they're excited by them, and it's just us crazy North Americans who don't appreciate the prints. I don't know. Anyway, this book is sold out now. I apologize. I would have liked to do the review while you could still buy it, but that was the wait I had, and I wasn't going to review it without being in my hands. So please, for this and any review I discuss, go to the website, take a look at all the pictures as well. I'm doing video flip-throughs, the YouTube channel. If you subscribe, that'd be great. I don't know. Am I ever going to get to a level where I'm going to have, paid ads and I'm going to make money from YouTube? Probably not. I think we've got a select market for Artist Edition Index fans, or AE format fans. And we may be reaching saturation. I don't know. We'll see. With exciting new things like this, and like I said, I'm trying to grow my European readership. Maybe that'll keep coming. So my biggest issue with, as I said, the European readership is not knowing French is hurting me for sure, but also not knowing where to find the advanced catalogs and things. I'm on a great Facebook group that's French, and I ask questions, and I realize I'm asking them in English, but I don't get a lot of answers. So it'd be interesting if I've got to keep exploring that side to discover how these things are being found out about. And also these publishers just have terrible websites. Like the Hannibal website, I signed up for the newsletter in the hopes that maybe that's where you get news from. And I do like the Dupuis website, and I like the Dupuis Artiste Edition, and they have a new one, and I've seen a new one. The solicitation should be up, so you can expect that in a few days on the website. But it's really hard to track this stuff down and knowing what's new and what's coming out. Anybody with any suggestions, comments, please email me, scott@aeindex.org. I love to hear from people. I'd like to take advantage of my collection, please, and I will answer any questions I can. And we'll share those on the podcast. I checked this month. I don't really have any questions. Like I said, I thankfully sold 2 books from the website this month, so that was great. My Spirit Artist Edition Volume 1 is now gone as well. So there are still some great books up on the site, so please take a look. I've had some chats with people, some that aren't for publication. I've been lucky enough to form some relationships with publishers, with editors, and they share information with me that's not for public consumption. So it's nice to know things that are coming up or little inside scoops, and I certainly would not share that in a confidential manner. But when something becomes available, I can certainly add my 2 cents to it. All right, thanks for listening, and we'll join me again next month. And keep reading.
Let her go, God bless her. Wherever she may be, she can search this wide world over. She'll never find a sweet man like me.